Oh, snap. We on the air? What's happening, everybody? You are now watching Duke Boy Sports Show. I'm your host, Kyng Ralph. Solo Dolo. Tar had family in town, so he couldn't come pull up today. But hey, hope everybody's doing good out there in TV land. Aces game is on, so I'm tuning into that on a commercial break. But but we're gonna have a good show today. But before we get started, make sure if you want to do a podcast, photo shoot, music video, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fitboxer. And you see me shaking up the goods. If you want a good, jitterless, clean, no crash energy drink, I might have put this a little bit too tight on here. But I was trying to make sure I ain't spilling myself. Go to W.com, DUBBY.com. Use promo code JUK for 20% off. Sipping on that Dragonade right now. Delicioso. And then make sure you go like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. We're about halfway there. But make sure you go to Juke Media Group on YouTube or just type in Joint Universal Creatives, creative with a K. Help us get to 100 subscribers. Like the He Say, She Say channel on Facebook. Follow us at Juke Sports Show on Instagram. You can follow me at KYNGRALPH, at TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and _ for X or Twitter. And let's just jump straight into it. So last year, he was the number one pick. 3 games into the season, or 3 weeks after the conclusion of the second week, before week 3 can even begin, Bryce Young is benched. And Andy Dalton is named the starter. Did they do him dirty? And I think they did. I feel like you're hindering his development. Now, I do get it. The regime that is currently there is not the regime that picked Bryce Young. But I do feel like in the end, unless you're 100% sure that you're not going forward with this kid, I just don't get Megan where you sit him. You sit him down, you bench him for Andy Dalton of all people too. I get it, he's a proven vet, but now at this point, he's just a journeyman quarterback. So why not let Bryce rock, give him 8 games? It is what it is. Y'all wasn't gonna win nothing anyway. At least now you would have a top 5 pick going the next season. Where it's like, all right, Bryce, you weren't the guy. We're going to try to figure out a way, figure out a team that will want you, trade you all to the highest bidder. But I feel like after 2 games, I just haven't seen enough. Yes, I do think he needs to do a job of protecting the football. But also at the same time, I think that the comparison between him and C.J. Stroud, I feel like it's unfair. Like the C.J. Stroud and the success that he had last year, that's an outlier of a season. There's not too many people that don't turn the football over. Kind of low-key take scraps and turn it into gold. And so where Bryce is in his development, I feel like how CJ is playing, being compared to CJ going 2, you going 1, is making it where we're rushing his development. Also, the things of him being a small quarterback, the thing as well. And so I'm not 100% sold on just getting rid of him just yet. Because honestly, if I was the Raiders, I probably would see if they'll take a 3rd or 4th round pick for him and see what you can get out of him. I think Simford, you let him learn an offense or let him learn under that regime. You have a really good defense while also don't turn the ball over. Like, the defense is good enough to, if you don't turn the ball over, we hand the ball off 20 to 30 times a game, throw the ball another 30 times. I feel like the recipe is for success. I'm not 100% sold on Zamir White as my running back for the future, but hey, it is what it is. I feel like they did do him dirty, though. I think they pulled the plug a little bit too quick on Bryce, and I'm not 100% sure I'm comfortable with that decision. And so I'll just mention the Raiders. I talked about it last week briefly. I didn't think that the Raiders were going to really have a chance with this game. I thought that the Ravens defense and offense was going to just be a little bit better, or a lot of bit better, honestly, because I kind of agreed. Someone in the comment section on the clip that I posted said 31-10, and I didn't necessarily disagree with them. But the fact that the Raiders won 26-23, was this an ordeal? Did the Ravens blow this one? And I think they did. They're up by 10 points going into the fourth quarter or somewhere in the fourth quarter. And with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and their running ability, you find a way to lose the game. And I think that the Raiders did some things. The defense played like I thought the defense would play. I feel like the defense is doing a really good job getting after the quarterback, creating turnovers, as well as just keeping them in games to where Gardner Minshew doesn't have to go crazy and score 28, 30 points. You can score 20, 26 to 21 and be able to get a victory. And so with this one, I definitely think that the Ravens have blown this one. I hate the fact that Lamar is getting all of this on his shoulders, because I think there's some slices to this pie that we can divvy off. And I feel like Harbaugh and has to take some blame. Monken and play calling has to take some blame. And then some of it has to go to Lamar too, as the man that's navigating the ship to a certain degree. And so, yes, I think that the Ravens blew it. I'm not going to put this all on Lamar, but I do think that in the end, he's got to figure out a way to get it done when you got Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and Todd Monken and John Harbaugh. Give Derrick Henry the football. Like, I don't have it right here in front of me, but if you're not going to give him the ball 30 times, you should be giving to him at least 20, nothing less than 20, and 18 attempts on Sunday and 13 the previous week, where he actually, off his 18 carries, was almost 5 yards a carry. And so I feel like Derrick Henry is just not getting the ball enough. Like I mentioned before, I think Lamar should be throwing the ball around 30 times, nothing more than 35. And Derrick Henry should be getting at least 20 to 25 attempts. And Lamar should be around 10 to 12 rushing attempts if you're going to run him that much. And so I think Derrick Henry is here to save Lamar his legs, him being lighter for the long haul of the season. And I just don't like the way that the offense is looking with the Raiders. That I don't think they're running the ball quite enough. And moving up next, the Eagles blow it. But this one is more so about got me thinking about, why are teams playing like analytics is ruining basketball and football. There are certain instances where I get it. 3-point shot, it's worth more. So if you go 35, if you shoot 40% from 3 and the other team shoots 45% from the field, eventually those threes are going to start to amount to more than the twos. But there's a certain instances in this game where going forward on fourth down, not taking the field goals, taking the points when you got the opportunity, you're not just going to be able to get them all the time. My man Saquon drops the ball, runs out to the flat, perfect pass, bounces off his hands. They lose the game eventually. And so Falcons, shout out to cousin Kurt. I said it when I was sitting there watching the game. I was like, well, cousin Kurt about to get a dub, and it's a wrap. Sorry for these Eagles. My dad's homie Nate was watching the game with us. I looked at him and was like, I'm sorry to tell you, bro, but y'all finna take this L. And so shout out to the Falcons for being able to pull off that victory. But at the same time, the Eagles handed this one away, and I don't understand there's some times where I get it. certain situations, why wouldn't you take the points in that situation? Why would you go for it on fourth down to where Saquon loses the game essentially? Like you lost by one. Why when you just kick the field goal, you go up by 9? Now there's no chance for them to win. And there's just some things that I don't understand. I get it, analytics, I get it. Um, I get taking chances. I'm a little bit more aggressive in my play calling too. If I was to be in that position, shoot, even when I play Madden, but we can't be acting like we can't translate Madden to the field to the point where we're going for it on fourth down on your own 30-yard line, or there's 2 minutes left in the game, you're up by 6, and you just go for it on fourth down. No, kick the field goal, take your points, and then hopefully your defense can make it tough on them to score the football, if not get the ball back. And yeah, I just feel like they did a terrible job with this, and I'm seeing a lot of it, and we got to stop playing Madden in real life. And analytics, there should be a good balance between analytics and the traditional way of playing whatever the sport is that you're playing. Football, basketball, I feel like both of them, analytics is starting to get to the point where they're doing too much of it. And it's like when you look at the teams that are winning, I don't feel like analytics is the way right now. I don't feel like as good as the Warriors were. Yeah, they were shooting a lot of threes. They played really good defense on top of that. So, and as much as Steph is known for shooting threes, Steph had a really good mid-range. Clay had a really good mid-range. KD, good mid-range. Livingston, good mid-range. Iguodala, good mid-range. And so I just feel like there's certain things that, yeah, certain ways of play get boosted, but like the Kansas City Chiefs are running it right now. Are they going for it on fourth down like that? Like, no, there's moments and situations where it benefits you to go for it. All right, you don't make it, have the ball on the 10-yard line. Now they got to go 90 yards down the field in order to be able to get a touchdown. And that's where I feel like there should be a balance. It's just all about situational football at the end of the day. And so sticking with football, my NFL power rankings, and you know how I get down. Start at number 10. We work our way up. And so this one is my first power ranking of the year. But even though they're coming off losses, I still think that the Eagles are still a good football team. They're playing pretty good defense. They can tackle a little better and get some people back from injuries. But I still think that they have a potent offense, pretty good defense, and they just need to be able to create a pass rush. And I feel like some of those holes on the back end will close right up. But they are the one right now, coming off of a loss where they should have won, so they could easily be higher on this list if they just did what they were supposed to do. But no AJ Brown. You're not stuck with, but Vontae Smith, who I see a lot of people try to say that he's a wide receiver one. I just don't see it. I think he's too small to be a real wide receiver one. I think he's probably one of the best wide receiver twos in the league. If we're gonna stick with that, like I probably feel like Jalen Waddle's a little better than him, where I feel like Miami has 2 legit number ones. I feel like even like Chicago, Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, those are two legit number 1 receivers, where I just don't think that. I think AJ Brown is legit top 5 wide receiver when we start having that conversation. But at the same time, I think Devontae Smith is just a really good number 2 receiver. And when you lose AJ, it really blatantly showed on that football field as far as pushing the ball down the field. And so I got the Eagles at 10. I got the Cowboys at 9. Although they have a very dominating win in week 1, which is why I'm going to give them the 9 spot over the Eagles. Although they just get shellacked. They got blown out beat down, obliterated, however you want to put it. Um, but I just think that right now they're still trying to figure it out. Now they're going to have to figure out how to run the ball because the amount of tips and lack of running the ball, you can't just rely on CD and that to be able to get it done. And hopefully your defense can be able to turn it around and get turnover, sacks, and things of that such. They were getting to it in week 1, but this is week 2. I don't know if it was the Saints offense is just clicking right now, and they're gonna for the long haul gonna end up being one of the better teams in the NFL, or if it was just the perfect fight, styles make fights type of thing. And so, let's turn down a little light, looking real bright. You know what I mean? But so at 9, I got Cowboys. At 8, I got the Falcons. Losing to a team that didn't score a touchdown, and then coming back in the next week to comeback victory against the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm gonna give them the 8th spot. I feel comfortable with it. I feel like I already had them winning the division at the beginning of the year, but the Saints look real good, and I'm gonna talk about them a little later in this list. But the Falcons, Bijan Robinson, Algier, Pitts, Drake London, Mooney played really well in this game, and Cousins look a lot more comfortable later in the game. And so as he gets more and more comfortable, now also the Eagles did not get after the quarterback in the way that Vic Fangio normally would like to. And so he doesn't really like to blitz or send more than just 4, where he likes to rush with 4 and rely on them to be able to get after the quarterback. But they just weren't able to get after the quarterback. And so Kirk Cousins, deeper into the game, started to look more and more comfortable. And I feel like this is a good sign for Falcons fans going into the next game to be able to, I don't even know who they play next, but whoever they end up playing, I feel like he looked comfortable later in the game. He drove the ball down the field in order to get the victory, and it worked out. So at 8, I got the Falcons. At 7, I got the Steelers. Steelers are 2-0, and the rest of my teams for this list are undefeated. Early in the season, it's only week 2. So, but I think the Steelers, even if Justin Fields ends up keeping that starting job, he's not turning the ball over. Now, do I think he's doing enough to be able to win the division? In the end, no. I think eventually you're going to have to make some plays down the field in order to be able to get these victories. But not turning the ball over, your defense getting turnovers and getting after the quarterback like the way that they are, I feel like he's playing complementary football, managing the game, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that as you learn the offense and get more comfortable with your new team. And so still at 7, I got the Chargers. At 6, now Justin Herbert, I don't believe is having Herbert-like season, but I do think that, back-to-back games, he's had 130 yards last game and 144 yards, where he typically was getting. Right now, he has 274 yards in total. He's typically getting about that every game for the past couple seasons. Like, he's already had a 5,000-yard season, 4,000-yard season, and then a 3,100-yard season last year, where it looks like with this offense, they're going to be running the ball a lot. J.K. Dobbins has had a resurgence. The defense is playing really good, although they have not played any kind of top-tier offense. They're playing the Panthers, and I just got done talking about how terrible Bryce Young has been playing, as well as they played the Raiders in week 1, and Minshew could not get the ball down the field. And so I feel like the Chargers, because of their ability to run the ball at a high level, they're getting big splash plays in the run game, which is something that, man, I always mess up that offensive coordinators. Greg Roman is always going to have teams running the football really well, but I would like to be able to see Justin Herbert be able to push the ball down the field in the end. If they're not able to, I'm just putting 8 in the box and daring them to beat us. And these are instances where I think that these were the things that I worried about when it came to a Greg Roman offense. And right now it's showing, while also they don't really have the talent in the wide receiver room. And so it sucks to say, but right now I got them at 6. I don't really see them finishing in the top 5. They would probably be lucky to finish in the top 10 when it comes down to it. But the defense and run game and not turning the ball over is working in the Chargers' favor. And so as a surprise pick at 5, I got the Minnesota Vikings, Sam Darnold, where honestly, I kind of thought that he would play about where he's at right now. And they're 2-0. When you have someone like a Justin Jefferson, this is pretty much the conversation that we wanted to have, or what we wanted to see from him, where Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Larry Fitzgerald, like those top quarterbacks, I mean wide receivers, they're able to get the job done even with lesser quarterbacks. And he's playing pretty well. 268 yards against the San Francisco team, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Against the Giants, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And so right now, he's playing good football, complimentary football. The defense is playing really well. 2 good victories. And now we'll see, because of the injuries with the 49ers. Now it's been very much documented that Brock Purdy, when he doesn't have the Super Friends, it's not the same football team. But hey, I digress. But I feel like the Vikings are playing really good football right now. So we're going to move along with the show. I got the Buffalo Bills coming in at 4. Josh Allen leading that crew. James Cook and that young receiving core. They're playing really good football. The defense is playing really good. Although the Dolphins team did get hurt, but they were still not in that game even before Tua got hurt. And so I think that the Bills are a team that they'll go as far as Josh Allen and that run game can take them. And so at 3, I got the Chiefs, City Chiefs, who eke out a victory over the Bengals. I still feel like their defense is going to be solid. Chris Jones, Trent McDuffie, they're going to do their thing as that offense, and some of the young pieces start to gel with Pat Mahomes. They're bringing back Hunt. They lost Isaiah Pacheco for some time. So we'll see what that looks like now that Hunt's going to come back to the team, although he was definitely one of the better running backs in the league when he played in that offense. So it's not like he doesn't have any familiarity with the team. But I got the Chiefs at 3. I got the Texans at 2. Eventually, I do see the Texans possibly being able to get up to 1. But for now, I got the Texans playing really good, coming off a really good, strong victory over the Bears. I think the Bears' defense is a lot better than people want to give them credit for, where C.J. Stroud didn't necessarily have the best game, but he moved the ball down the field, controlled the game, and to the point where I don't think there was ever a point where the Bears really, truly had a chance. And so I got the Saints. Saints got the highest point differential in the league right now. Looking at, I think they're about like plus 63 in point differential. Saints are on both sides of the ball. Derek Carr is having his resurgence with the issues the Raiders are having at quarterback. I hate to talk about it. I really want to. If I had a shot of Jack Daniels, or a bottle of Jack Daniels, I'd drink from the bottle right now if I could. And so I got the Saints at 1, being dominant, blowing out Panthers, blowing out the Cowboys. And so we'll see what this team does going forward. But I got the Eagles at 10, Cowboys at 9, Falcons at 8, Steelers at 7, Chargers at 6, Vikings at 5, Bills at 4, Chiefs at 3, Texans at 2, and the Saints top dogs right now at 1. And so moving over to the W, I mentioned earlier that the Aces were currently playing right now. And let's see what we're looking at. Ooh, close game going into the fourth quarter, 63-61. But we're going to get into it. I'm only doing 8 teams because that's how many teams will make the playoffs. And so with the games left, I think there's 2 games left in the season, at least for the Aces. So I'm going to start off with the Atlanta Dream. Having a good young team, I think they have some pieces, some veterans, to where they're not going to be one of the better teams because I don't feel like they have that superstar yet. But then they're also not going to be one of the worst teams because they just have they have a lot of bodies that they can throw at you. And so I got the Atlanta Dream at 8. I got the Phoenix Mercury at 7. I feel like they have really good talent, really good veteran leadership, high IQ basketball players. Copper, Griner, Tarasi are still going to be a formidable big three. And at 7, I got the Phoenix Mercury. I see them get into the playoffs, but I just don't see them doing much in the playoffs to keep it a buck. But I got the Indiana Fever at 6, Caitlin Clark, Leah Moss, and Kelsey Mitchell, who is a very underrated big three. Now, when the intensity kicks up, physicality kicks up when you get to the playoffs, now this is where you got to put your big girl pants on and go hoop. And none of that complaining, flopping, going to work. And so can Caitlin Clark lead the troops? And this is where I got them at 6, where I think they're a good basketball team, but I just don't think that they have the difference makers of the teams above them. And so the Aces are playing right now, the Seattle Storm. And at 5, Diggins, Matt McGore, Aguke are a crazy big three. Jewel Lloyd as well. And I feel like that they got a big 4 that can go up and get buckets and compete with anybody. And so Aces are in a tight game going into the fourth quarter right now as I speak, but I can easily see the Storm winning this one. Now, when it comes to the playoffs, now we'll see with the Aces, Lynx, and the Storm, which one of the 3 is going to come out of the West. And so at the Sun, I got Connecticut Sun at 4, Alyssa Thomas. I just feel like that the what they call it, a jack of all trades, I guess you could say, but there's a knife reference I'm thinking of that I can't think of right now in a moment. But I just feel like she does a little bit of everything. The assertiveness of Carrington at the guard spot, while also just the veteran presence, high IQ that they've been there, done that, is gonna be a problem for the Liberty. That's really the only team that really stands a chance. I don't see the Fever being able to do anything with them. And so we'll see what happens. But I got them at 4. Got the Aces at 3, playing really good basketball over the last couple of weeks. Good victories over the Storm, Liberty, Fever, and Lynx over the last couple of weeks. They're playing really good basketball, going into the right time, picking up momentum at the right time. Asia Wilson having a heck of a season. I'm going to talk about her in a little bit as an individual. But I got the Aces at 3. I got the Liberty at 2. And right now, I think the team playing the best basketball is the Minnesota Lynx. Nafisa is balling. Caleb McBride. I just feel like right now they're playing some of the best basketball. And I feel like they're the hottest team going into the playoffs. But with the Aces, I'm still going to rock with the Aces in the end when it comes down to it. But I could easily see a Minnesota New York Liberty final or Minnesota Connecticut Sun final. And so at 8, I got Atlanta Dream. 7, I got the Mercury. 6, I got the Fever. 5, I got Seattle Storm. At 4, I got the Connecticut Sun. Las Vegas Aces at 3. New York Liberty at 2, and the Minnesota Lynx at 1. And so I had a couple different. I went 4-2 in my predictions over the week. UNLV beats Kansas. Memphis beats Florida State. Colorado beat Colorado State. And the Texans beat the Bears, but I was wrong. And the Cowboys beating the Saints. And the Falcons beating the Eagles. I did not have that one happening. Now, Saquon catches the football. Now I'm 5-1 in my predictions this week. And so It is what it is. It comes along with the territory. And so I got a couple quick little topics. Um, no shade to Caitlin Clark because I am going to talk about some things in a little bit with her, but they got to adjust these assist rules. So I see the highlight. I'm on Twitter. I'm scrolling. I see the highlight of her passing, taking the ball in. She passes the ball to I forget who she. I think it was Kelsey Mitchell, and Kelsey gets the ball, takes two dribbles, hop steps, and lays the ball up. And this is the assist that ends up giving Caitlin Clark the record for the most assists in a WNBA season. And I feel like they should adjust. They need to adjust this rule, yo, because this is crazy. Like at some point, she had to do a bunch of work in order to get it done. And so, where is it? Where is it at? I don't think I wrote it down in here. Oh, this. But yeah, they need to adjust. They need to make an adjustment to the rule. And I feel like now if I pass the ball to you, you take a few steps, two steps, layup. All right, cool. One dribble, layup. But if you got to do real work in order to get that, I feel like the assist should come, or that should count as an assist. And that's no shade to Caitlin. I feel like this is more of a. It's not just because it was Caitlin. It's I just always felt like this. I've definitely been watching games, and it's like, dang, he had 12 assists. But then when you go back and you watch some of the highlights, it'll be 4 or 5 of those assists were things like I'm talking about, where a person passed the ball, pump fake, dribble, spin move, and that goes as an assist. And it's like, wait a minute, this person did all the work. Now, yeah, you passed me the ball, but the pump fake I had to do should negate the fact that that was an assist. And yeah, I just feel like they definitely need to work on that. That's definitely one that it just needs a little bit of tinkering. And so I actually thought this was a really good point. Trey Young, I believe he was on his podcast. He said that pretty much if he was 6'6" or 6'8", he would be one of the best players in the league. And we've all heard coach say, "Oh, if AI was 6'5" or 6'6", we would all be in trouble." And so I think when we start to have these comparisons, we got to start thinking about. Yeah, it would be easy to sit here and say, "Oh, yeah, if Allen Iverson was 6'6", we'd be in trouble." Or Trey was 6'8", how dominant would he be? But then you also got to realize the parts of their game that made them would change as well. If you take Steph and make him 6'7" or 6'8", how good he got at shooting the basketball because he was a smaller player would negate that because now he has the ability to get to the rim where he doesn't need to work on that jump, which is one of the things and one of the drawbacks and why me personally, I just don't feel like LeBron is the GOAT because he's such a physical stature that he didn't have to have the skill set, the fundamental, the post work, footwork of a Kobe and a Michael Jordan, where Jordan had a freak athleticism. Once he started to slow down, that's when you see one dribble pull up, one dribble pump fake, step through layup, post work, spin move, spin left. And I feel like when you start to tinker with a person's size and athleticism, those things alter their games to where when we start to have this conversation, you can't really have that conversation because they would be a completely different player. Yeah, it'd be easy to just make Trey Young 6'8", but then the things that make Trey Young, his floater. He doesn't need a floater if he's 6'8" and not 6 foot because now he can just go dunk on you. And so I think when we start to have these conversations, and this is just more so of like finding content, things to talk about. I get it. I do like the conversation, but when you really start to think about the things, certain things, I don't really have an issue. It's like, but I do feel like you got to bring that into account. And so this one kind of hurts. I'm a huge Mike Trout fan. Mike Trout is on out with injury right now, but he talked about the possibility of him moving positions, going to like a corner outfield. And I think this part hurts to say the most because I am a fan of him. Fielding He's a multiple glove winner, silver bat winner, MVPs. So to just delegate him as a designated hitter or DH, but I do personally feel like when he comes back, he should just focus on hitting the ball. Um, he's getting too many lower body extremity injuries, breaking wrists on foul balls, going after foul balls, messing up knees and ankles while going um, retrieving the ball. So I think that at this point in his age, he's getting older. I think he should just focus on the DH. You're in the American League. You signed a long tenor contract with the Angels, so you're pretty much going to finish your career with the Angels. Focus on just hitting the ball because he can still do that at a high clip. And I think that I don't think there's anything wrong. As you get older, you start to pick up different roles. I just talked about LeBron James. As good as he is at his age, he ain't just running down the lane dunking on everybody. Now he has a post game that he's depending on much heavier, where his game looks different. Where now we're just probably going to see Mike Trout look a little bit more different to the point where he is a designated hitter and no longer being a fielder. Now, if he stays in, I would like to see him, but I think if he get one more injury, he don't have no choice but to be a designated hitter because we paying you too much money to be out this long. And so I talked about Asia Wilson earlier in the pod, and I just personally feel like if she wins a championship, it's a wrap. This is the greatest season of all time. She's averaging 27 points a game, 12 rebounds. She's leading the league in blocks. She's like top 5 in steals. And so if she wins Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, which she should, is not even close. And she wins a championship while also going back to back three-peat, which I don't think has been done since the Houston Comets back in the 90s. It's one of those things you don't have no choice but to say that she is, if not the GOAT, one of the GOATs, and this is the greatest year or individual season that we've ever seen. Which is to kind of go to another point where I'm watching Gil's Arena. They're having a conversation of, is Caitlin Clark, did she have a dominant year? And although Cheryl Swoops does have some hating ass comments and statements when it comes to Caitlin Clark, I agree with her on this. One, I don't believe that Caitlin Clark is above criticism. I can't say you had a dominant year and you're a below average defender, if not a liability when it comes to defense. Where it reminds me, I compare her to Steph all the time, where we're essentially going to pick and get you out on the island, and I'm going to attack you. And these are things that work when you play against the Fever. She is a liability on defense. If not a liability, she's a very poor defender. So I can't say that you had a dominant year, but then also you're a below average defender. And I don't think that she's above criticism. I feel like too often people get so enamored and fall in love and become stands with their favorite athletes that even if there's a majority opinion, having an opinion that goes against that, now you're a hater. And yes, I will sit here and I will say, Cheryl Swoops be saying some wild shit, but Caitlin Clark did not have a dominant year. Yes, she had a really great rookie season. If Asia Wilson's not doing what she's doing, possibly I could see her being in the MVP conversation. But it's not even fucking close. Asia Wilson is a defensive player of the year who does a really good job with her matchup. She's not a Rudy Gobert. And she's one of the best offensive players where she has the post game. This year, she stretched her game out to the 3, where I've seen her hit 1 or 2 threes a game, even to the point where once she catches the ball in the high pick and roll, if you're not on her, she can attack you off the dribble, or she can hezzy pull at the mid range, like the game against I believe it was the Sky. It was either the Sky or the Fever. She hit at least 10 mid-range jumpers. And those are the things that I feel like when it comes to being dominant, you can't just be all offense. And that's one thing I'll always push back on this generation is we get so enamored by offense that we forget about the defensive side of the ball. Like, why are we calling people two players when in this sport you play both sides of the ball? So that should just come with the territory. I shouldn't be looking for a two-way player. You should just always be a two-way player. And so I feel like Asia Wilson is having a dominant year where Caitlin Clark is just having a good year. And it's not like, oh, it's just because she's a rookie. No, if you look at the way she's played offensively, she's doing her thing. But basketball is a two-way sport where you got to play defense too. And she's not getting it done, in my personal opinion. That's going to be where they take that step as a team where she could be above at least above average defender, and they can get a rim protecting big. And so I got to get up out of here, guys. I appreciate y'all. Like I said at the beginning of the show, make sure you go like, subscribe, comment, share, like the He Say She Say channel on Facebook. Help us get to 100 subscribers on YouTube at Juke Media, or type in Joint Universal Creators K. Help us get to 100 subscribers. We need your help. And then follow us on Instagram at Juke Sports Show. You can follow me at KYNRALPH. On TikTok, Twitch, Instagram. Make sure you go and add an underscore for X or Twitter. And if you want a clean, genderless, no crash energy drink, go to w.com. Promo code Juke, Juk, for 20% off. And like I always say, love, peace,